Right in the waves。今日は9月の30日にカカアコのマインドフルムーブメントスタジオ Still Moving Center で開催予定のベネフィットイベントをご紹介したいと思います。このイベントはマンスリーで先月からスタートしたんですが、サウンドヒーラーのブライアン・ジョーダンさんによるサウンドバス、そしてレストラティブヨガも楽しめるイベントなんですけれどもね。そのわけで今日はクリスタルボールなどの楽器を使ったこのサウンドバスについてブライアンさんにお話を伺いたいと思っています。So welcome, Brian. Thank you so much for taking your time to talk to me about your upcoming, event at the Still Moving Center.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Glad to be there.
Thank you. So now we have this monthly benefit sound bath series featuring your sound healing and restorative yoga. And I know you've done it already, like once before with Robin.
We've actually done, this will be our fourth event.
Okay, right. And it's a benefit for Halakipa. So can you tell us a little bit about this event and how you got involved?
Yeah, so my idea for this sound bath and yoga series came when it came out of frustration, actually.
Oh, frustration?
If I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
Because there was just so much going on in the world with with the environment and when Russia invaded Ukraine, that area, region of the world is very close to me. I have a lot of connections with it. So that was devastating. And then just with everything going up with, women's rights and LGBTQ plus rights being under attack. It was really hard to go through that. And I always felt like I wasn't able to do enough. I would donate $25 to an organization here, $50 there, but it never felt like enough to me.
Right.
And then I realized that I have this talent, I have a skill that I can use to bring people together and raise some awareness for some of these amazing nonprofits that are doing really great work in the world and in Hawaii. And at the same time, raise more money than I could solo, than I could alone. And it really came with that belief that we're stronger together than we are as individuals. So that's really how I created it. It was just it was born out of frustration of not feeling like I could do enough, but it's been really wonderful. And I feel like, I know for me personally, it's given me a lot of hope, and I hope that it's bringing a lot of joy to other people as well. And
Wow, that's amazing. ね、ということでですね、このイベントにどのようにね、関わるようになったんですかって聞いたんですけれども、まずこのサウンド、ヒーリングの、イベントのアイディアっていうのは、そもそももう自分のもうフラストレーションから始まったことだったってことなんですね。で、本当に世界で今いろんなことが起こっていて、ちょうどこれをこういうことやりたいなと思ってた時に、やっぱりいろいろ環境問題だったとか、世界でも本当にいろんなことが起こってて、あとロシアの問題だとか、ロシアは特にね、自分いろいろと縁があるので、すごくフラストレーションも感じていたし、あと女性の権利ですとか、あと LGBTQ の問題だとか、すごくいろいろなことが重なって起こっていた時だったんですよね。で、それで自分が十分にいろんなことができてないなとか、もうここで少し寄付をね、$20、$50上げてても、なかなかもっと何かできないかなって思って、で、その時に自分の才能を何か使って、何か寄付でも何かしたりとかできるんだったら、一人でやるよりも、例えばヨガの人とかね、いろんな人と関わってやったら、stronger together っていうかね、本当にみんなと一緒にやった方が、強くなれるんじゃないかと思って、で、このイベントを考えて、スタートしたということなんですけれども、今のところね、すごくうまくいってて、すごく自分も楽しいし、みんなも喜んでくれたらいいな、なんて思っているそうですけれどもね。Yeah, so that's beautiful. Now, so this is 100% like benefit for Halakipa, right? Can you tell us a little bit about Halakipa as well?
Yes, so they're an amazing organization based in Hawaii, and they work with Hawaii's most at-risk youth, and sometimes their parents and guardians. And their mission is really to help them actualize their potential and provide them with the resources they need to be able to find the full potential in themselves and to find success and healing. So they do a lot of outreach work for example, homeless youth or runaways, or unfortunately, one thing that happens with the LGBTQ plus community is they'll be disowned by their parents and kicked out of their house. So Halekipa does outreach work to help find these kids and bring them into a situation where they can find more stability, and also to keep them out of the trafficking trade. So they work closely with Ho'olanapua, which is the organization I did last month, that tries to stop child sex trafficking in the islands. And so they work closely with them, and they help provide independent living facilities and foster care. They help them get the mental health services that they need, as well as educational and vocational resources, to make sure that they get a good education and that they get job skills that they can use once they graduate out of these programs. So it's really just about finding the youth that are just in unfortunate situations and maybe struggling, and helping them get into a stable position and be able to realize that they have a lot of potential within themselves, and help them actualize that.
Right. Okay. このハレキパというね、団体はハワイにある団体なんですけれども、NPO 団体でして、例えばいろんなリスクのあるね、若者たちを助けていくというね、活動をしているんですね。で、そういったいろんなリソースを与えてあげたりだとか、癒しを与えてあげたりとか、いろんなアウトリーチプログラムだとかもあったりして、で、あと例えばですね、ホームレスになってしまった若者を助けたりとか、あと LGBTQ で、自分がカミングアウトしたことで、家から追い出されてしまうお子さんっていうのもいるんですね。で、そういう人たちに家を提供してあげたりだとか、あとセックストラフィッキングとか、そういったね問題もいろいろありますので、そういう人たちのためのフォスターケアだとか、あとメンタルケアのこととか、あと教育とか、あとお仕事をねしたいけどもできないお子さんたちのためにこういったジョブスキルをね与えてあげたりだとか、いろんな意味ですごくあまり残念なね状況にいる人たちをもうちょっと安定させていってね、もらうためのそういった手助けをしていくというね、活動をしていて、1970年代ぐらいからね、活動しているということなんですけれども、このハレキパというね、団体に、このブライアンさんのイベントではドネーションをしていると、100% のね、寄付をしているということなんですけれどもね。はい。で、ちょっとですね、このイベントとはまた別で、ちょっとブライアンさんのお話も伺いたいなと思うんですが、ハワイにはね、そもそもいついらしたのかとか、もともとどこ出身なのかとかね、ちょっとベーシックな背景というかバックグラウンドをお聞きしたいと思っております。So now I like to talk about you a little bit. Like, how did you end up in Hawaii, and where you're originally from, and that kind of stuff. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that and how you got interested in music and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Montana.
Montana.
Yeah, so grew up in a beautiful state with nature. Very different nature from Hawaii, but also beautiful. And oh gosh, how did I get involved with music and yeah, moved to Hawaii.
Were you always interested in music as a child?
I was, yes. So as a young child, me and my brother were exposed to music a lot by our parents. So they would take us to the symphony or to the jazz festival or to the local theater to see musical, stage productions and that. So I had that exposure at a very young age. But I think it was when I was about 11 or 12. I think my biggest influence was my brother. Who, interestingly enough, he lives in Japan now.
What? Oh, really?
Yes, yeah. He lives just outside of Tokyo, and he's also a musician. So he plays koto and shakuhachi.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Wow. How long he lived there now?
Oh, he's been there for probably about 20 years now.
Wow.
So married to a wonderful Japanese woman there.
Oh, wow. So you're a very musical family.
Kind of. It's funny because my parents were not, they loved music, but were not musical themselves. But then yes, my brother got into music, and then he kind of got me interested in music. First, interested me in like bands like Depeche Mode
Yes.
and Metallica, more.
Of course.
So it was very much alternative and heavy
Yeah.
metal. So that was actually my first dream. I bought an electric guitar, and my dream was to be the lead guitarist in a heavy metal band. Very different from what I do today.
Right. I can totally relate.
Yeah. But then, I think my life took its first turn when I was, how old was I? I was maybe a junior or senior in high school. My brother was already off in college studying music composition. And I went to see one of his performances of some of his classical pieces that he had composed. And it just opened up my world. At the time I was starting to realize that the emotional range of what you can capture with heavy metal is somewhat limited.
Right.
Then I saw all of this incredible music that captured, just such a wide range of emotion, and contemporary classical as well is so different from what we think of as like Mozart or Beethoven. It's there's no rules with it, right?
Right.
So I really was inspired by that. So my brother inspired me a second time with music.
Wow.
And decided to kind of take a turn and studied classical music at University of Montana.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how I got started in music.
Wow.
And oh gosh, my journey to Hawaii.
Okay, let me translate that part. Let me translate that part about your music journey first. Okay. ね、ということですごくね、ブライアンさん、面白いバックグラウンドなんですけど、もともとはモンタナ州の出身なんですね。で、すごくハワイとは違いますけど、やっぱり自然がね、豊かなところで、そんな素晴らしいところで育ったそうなんですけれども、小さい頃から音楽が好きだったかというと、実はすごく親の影響だとか、兄弟の影響もありまして、で、小さい頃からジャズフェスティバルに行ったりだとか、そういうステージをね、見に行ったりっていうのがすごく親の影響であったので、もちろんそういういい環境にいたんですけれども、で、11歳か、12歳ぐらいに、自分のIs that your older brother?
Older brother.
Older brother, right? Yeah. お兄さんからね、すごく影響を受けて、で、すごくいろんな音楽を聴くようになったということなんですね。で、実はブライアンさんのお兄さんって日本に住んでいるそうで、で、東京のね、ちょっと近くに住んでいて、琴とか尺八とか三味線とかをね、されているということでびっくりしたんですけども、日本に20年ぐらい住んでいるということ、日本人のね、女性と結婚しているということなので、ね、もしこの、番組聞いてくださったら、これじゃ日本語全部わかるかななんて思いますけれども、で、本当にその11歳、12歳ぐらいからお兄さんの影響を受けて音楽をすごく好きになってハマっていったそうなんですね。で、最初はですね、なんかやっぱり若者が好きなディペッシュモードとかメタリカとか、なんかそういうヘビーメタルが大好きだったということなんです。それもお兄さんの影響だったそうなんですけど、自分の夢はもうメタルバンドのリードギタリストになるということだったので、今とは全然ね、ちょっと違うんですけど、だから最初にエレキのギターを買って、いっぱいね、メタルにハマっていたということなんですけどもね。ですけど、高校3年生ぐらいになって、お兄さんが今度はクラシックでね、なんか作曲したものをなんか披露したことがあって、で、その時にすごくなんか感銘を受けたそうなんですね。ヘビーメタルもすごいそれはそれでいろいろ面白かったんですけど、自分のエモーションっていうか、自分の感情を表現する上で、やっぱりなんかちょっと限界があって、だけどクラシックだと、なんかモーツァルトとかベートーベンとかまた違いますけど、すごいコンテンポラリーな作曲家とかもいっぱいいて、なんか表現方法がいろいろあるなっていうふうに感じて、すごく深みを感じたので、じゃあそしたら今度僕はクラシックのね、音楽を勉強してみようということになりまして、で、モンタナ大学の方でクラシック音楽を専攻されたということなんですね。But so at the University of Montana, what instrument did you play?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I originally wanted to go for classical guitar performance. But the school that I wanted to go to, which is the same one my brother went to, of course, didn't have a guitar program at the time. So I ended up playing clarinet. Was my primary instrument, and I also studied music composition. Classical composition.
Yeah.
And ironically, once I left the university, they did get a guitar program. So I was
Oh,
too early, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was what I studied.
Mhm.
And should I go into my Hawaii story or?
Sure, yeah. But
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
way, like I was gonna say, because I actually went to music school all my life. Like
You did.
I've been studying like piano since I was 3, and I ended up going to music school from like junior high school, like all the way. There's like a school that like junior high school, college. It was all music in my life and study classical music myself. But then it was funny because you mentioned heavy metal because I was in a metal band in like junior high school
Oh, that's
too.
awesome.
Yeah, it's just funny.
That's great.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have some things to connect on then.
Thanks to connect on, I know, yeah. ちょっと今ちょっとお話がちょっとずれちゃったんですけども、実は私も音楽の学校にね、通ってて3歳からピアノやってて、で、実は中学高校メタルのバンド入ってたんですみたいな話をして、いろいろね、こうつながりがありましたけれども、彼の場合は大学に行ってクラシックギターを勉強されたそうなんですが、その時にギターのプログラムがなかったそうなんですね、その学校に。で、しょうがないので、クラリネットと、あと作曲を勉強していたということなんですけれども、残念ながら卒業した後にクラシックのギターのプログラムは始まったということでね、ちょっとたまたまタイミングが悪かったかもしれないですけれども、クラリネットとか作曲を勉強されていたということです。はい。でもね、そのモンタナの大学に行って、ハワイにはどのようにしてね、こうつながったんでしょうね。So you study, at the University of Montana. How did you come to Hawaii like after all that?
Yeah. So it was right around my senior year. I was actually really burnt out on music because, as you know, it's quite intense and exhausting to study. And I was looking at my prospects of a career as a classical composer and realizing that they were almost nothing.
Yes, I totally
very
understand.
hard to get into that regime. And at the same time, I had always been interested in massage therapy since high school, I would say. And I was living with a woman at the time who was a massage therapist and yoga instructor. She was also who introduced me to the crystal bowls. And so I started to get the idea that I wanted to pursue something in the healing field and where I could work with people directly in order to help them. Not that music can't help people, obviously.
Right.
But I wanted to work more one-on-one with people at that time. So I ended up not finishing my degree. I was sorry, some people tell me not to admit that, but I was so burnt out, exhausted from it that I wasn't enjoying it anymore at that time.
Right.
So I made the decision to go to massage school. And as far as Hawaii, I always say that I didn't have a choice. I was kind of led here. I started looking at different schools throughout Montana and Colorado and Utah. I loved the Rocky Mountains and I wanted to stay in the Rocky Mountain West. But for some reason, Hawaii just kept popping up in the back of my head. And for some people, that doesn't sound unusual. For me, it was unusual because I had no desire to come to Hawaii. I was set on staying in the Rocky Mountains. But I was looking at all these schools and nothing was interesting me. And, I wasn't finding anything interesting.
Right.
And at the same time, all of these messages kept coming. I was seeing Hawaii everywhere. I was seeing Hawaii on billboards.
Oh my gosh.
And Hawaii that. And then I went out to coffee with a friend and she, out of the blue was like, hey, have you ever read the book Hawaii by James Michener? I said, no, I haven't. And 2 days later, I was at coffee with a different friend and she said, have you ever read the book Hawaii? I said, no, I haven't. So all of this kept coming up. So finally I was at my friend's house and I was telling him this story and telling him all these messages coming up. And I said, yeah, so I think I might be moving to Hawaii to go to massage school. Just after I said that, a mutual friend of ours walked in the door and said, hey, do you want some macadamia nuts? They're from Hawaii.
Oh my God, too many signs.
Me and my friend just looked at each other and burst out laughing. We're like, okay.
Oh God.
So I started looking at schools in Hawaii, and this one school in Kailua came up, and it was just this immediate feeling of, oh, that's where I'm going to go. It was like without a doubt, all of these other schools that I'd looked at, and it never felt right. And this one popped up, and it was just immediately, it was like, that's the school I'm going to. So I applied and got in, booked a plane ticket. Didn't know anybody in Hawaii. And showed up. Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing journey. You were like really brought here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. いや、実はですね、やっぱり音楽のね、世界ってやっぱりいつも練習してたりだとか、もうすごい疲れてたらしいんですよね。で、音楽のキャリアって言っても、なんかクラシックの作曲の仕事とかって、やっぱ仕事がクラシックの世界ってないんですよね、最近ね。なので、なんか何かどうしようかななんて、すごく音楽自体に疲れていたときに、高校ぐらいの時から女性と住んでて、その方がたまたまヨガのね、先生で、あとマッサージのセラピストもやっていて、で、クリスタルも、彼女がいろいろ紹介してくれたんですけども、その人になんかそういうマッサージのこととかもいろいろ教わっていたので、なんか自分もそういうヒーリングの世界というか、なんかマッサージとかに興味があるななんて思い出したそうなんです。で、音楽だと音楽を自分が弾いてたくさんの人にね、そういう癒しとかを伝えていくっていう感じですけれども、一人一人と向き合ってワンオンワンでなんかそういうヒーリングを与えるっていうのにもいいななんて思うようになって、で、マッサージの世界にすごく興味を持ったそうなんです。で、ハワイのことに関してなんですけれども、ハワイはね、本当になんかもう、別にハワイに行こうって、全く思ってなかったそうなんですけれども、いろいろチョイスを見ててね、モンタナ州の方とかコロラドとか、ロッキー山脈がすごい大好きなので、なんか僕はロッキー山脈にとどまるってずっと思ってたそうなんですけども、なぜかハワイがいっぱいなんかメッセージでいろんなところからもうちょくちょく出てくるようになって、で、例えばビルボードのサインとかでもハワイとか、なんかやたらテレビでハワイってハワイのキーワードもあちこちで見かけるようになって、で、お友達ともなんかコーヒーを飲みに行ったら、なんかハワイっていう本読んだことあるみたいなこと聞かれて、で、また別の友達とハワイって本読んだことあるみたいなことを言われて、なんでこんなのなんか何回も続くんだろうって本当に不思議に思っていて、で、そのある日、お友達なんかもうこんなすごいメッセージがいっぱいね来るんで、僕ハワイに行こうかと思うんだよね、マッサージを学びにって言ったら、その同じタイミングで別の友達が入ってきて、マカデミアナッツ食べるって言われたそうなんですね。それで、これは本当に運命だろうなと思って、で、ハワイのマッサージスクールのことをいろいろ探すようになりまして、で、一つすごく、ここだなって本当に思うところを見つけても、ここに絶対行こうと思って、それでもう飛行機のチケットを買って、誰も知らないのにハワイにね、一人でやってきたということなんですけれどもね。Wow, that's amazing. So that's the beginning of your healing journey in a way.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely had a lot of inspiration from my former roommate that I was living with, and yeah, she got me interested in the healing side, the physical healing of massage, but then also that was my first introduction into kind of the metaphysical side of healing as well. And so in the beginning of my time in Hawaii, that was very much my healing journey. I was interested in kind of, meditation, but it was a lot of the metaphysical side, like astral projection and, this type of thing. And after a while, I kind of realized that for me personally, as I was kind of studying the metaphysical side of things, I realized that it was a lot of me kind of going out. And I realized it was more of me trying to escape myself and escape my emotions as opposed to actually deal with them. So my kind of spirituality has shifted over the years, and it's much more, I would say, practical now.
Yes.
Much more grounded in the meditation. I'm just more interested in being in touch with who I am and all of my emotions, whether it's sadness or anger or happiness or joy, and just being present
Right.
with that. So much more along the lines of, I wouldn't say that I'm not religious in any way. If I had to choose a religion, it would be more along the lines of Buddhism.
Yeah.
Just kind of the very grounded sort of inward journey discovery.
Right. Yeah. I totally understand. Like, I was really like into like spirituality too, but then like you forget to feel, right? Like you, this is a big part of like you have to connect with yourself. Like you have to really look within and all that emotional stuff. Like you know, easy to kind of neglect, right? Like and then just kind of skip onto like kind of like a spiritual bypass.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're more grounded and balanced and
yeah. Definitely go through a lot of ups and downs, but that's just a part of the journey.
Right. ということで、彼のね、ヒーリングの、そういうの旅というか、ヒーリングジャーニーは、やっぱりこう、ハワイに来てからね、始まったということなんですけれども、そのね、高校生の時のルームメイトにすごくね、影響を受けまして、そのマッサージの世界に入ったんですけれども、最初はすごくなんかこう、スピリチュアルというか、メタフィジカルなところにね、ハマっていたということで、瞑想とか、なんかこう、宇宙の世界とか、そういうのにね、わーってハマっていたそうなんですけども、でもなんかその自分から逃げてるなっていうふうにちょっと感じ始めたそうなんですね。それを続けているうちに。なんかこうスピリチュアルな世界になんかこうずっとハマっていて、なんかこうシフトできない自分がいて、で、なんかもっと実用的なこと、自分自身と向かい合うとか、例えば自分がどういう人間で何を感じているのか、悲しいのか、怒ってるのか、なんかそういう本当に基本的な部分をなんかこう無視して、なんかそこからちょっと逃げて、なんかそういうところにハマっていたって部分もあったので、今はちゃんとね、こう感情と向き合うようになって、なんかこう、バランスが取れてきて、で、だから、彼としては、なんかもしね、宗教とかに、宗教、にもし興味があるとしたら、仏教とかね、そういう方だと思うんですけども、そういうなんかこう、バランスの取れたね、感じに今はなっているということですけれどもね。はい。で、このサウンドヒーリング自体っていうのは、いつぐらいからね、始めて、どういうふうに、始めたのかも聞いてみたいと思うんですけれども、So your roommate taught you about crystal balls and everything, right? So you already knew what that was like, but how did you end up starting to play?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this was my roommate back in Montana, and she had a set of 5 crystal bowls. Funny enough, she had bought in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
So that's another connection. Yeah, and a couple of times while I was living with her, she did just meditations with them. And being a musician, I was obviously very connected with sound. And so the first time that I heard them, it just, I didn't have words. I was speechless, the sound. And you've heard crystal bowls, it sounds like, it almost wasn't like listening to music. It was like you became the sound. It felt like the sound was traveling through my body and through my head, and it just brought up all of this emotion. And I feel music really strongly as it is, it always draws emotion up in me. But this, I had tears streaming down my face. And so from the instant I first heard them, I knew that I wanted to get a set of bowls and use them to create music. So finally, it was after I'd been in Hawaii for a couple of years, and I was thinking about it. I finally I took out my first credit card and got a set of crystal bowls.
Yeah.
It took me forever to pay it off. But it was, I don't recommend getting credit cards unless you need them.
Right.
It was the best decision I made. And yeah, that was how I got the start. It was really, for me, it was more, I think I had a different approach to it because it was more about creating music for me. The sound healing aspect of it just was kind of a nice side benefit.
Yes.
But it was just a nice marriage to be able to kind of combine my healing practice, healing world with music. And so that's been just an amazing journey.
Yeah. In a way, like it brought you back to music now.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. And even in the last few years more so, I had kind of set aside, like I've hardly played the guitar and clarinet in many years. And just really in the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, I've always done the crystal bowls and didgeridoo and that, but I've really been embracing music again. I felt like that was a part of my life that was missing. And so I've really been bringing it back more into my life again.
Right.
I feel more complete.
Yeah.ね、このサウンドヒーリングは、もちろんね、その昔のそのルームメイトの方にやっぱり影響を受けて、知るようになったんですけれども、モンタナ州に、その彼女は5個ね、クリスタルボール持ってたそうなんですね。で、しかもその人、ハワイで買ったクリスタルボールを持っていたということで、ね、そこもまたご縁があったんですけれども、彼女はその、クリスタルボールをこう演奏して、こう瞑想したりとかっていうのね、使ってくれて、で、それを最初にもうブライアンさんが聞いたときに、うわー、もう本当言葉が出なかったっていうか、なんかこう、音楽を聴くというよりは、その自分が音楽になったというか、なんかこう一体化したというか、本当になんか、なんだろうこれみたいな感じになったそうなんですね。で、やっぱり自分の感情、音楽はね、もうそもそもすごく自分の感情をこう呼び起こすものですけども、このクリスタルボールがこう、うわーって感情を呼び起こさせる感覚っていうのがもう本当に言葉にならなくって、涙が出てきて、すごくなんか、すごいなって思ったそうなんですね。それで、クリスタルボールで自分もなんかこう音楽やってみたいなと思って、で、ハワイに来て何年かして、ちょっとクレジットカードをね、用意して、で、カードでもちょっと勇気出して買っちゃったそうなんですね。それで、カードね、あんまり持ってるとね、良くないけど、なんて言いますけど、でも、今回はすごいいい買い物をしたということで、で、彼にとってはなんかこう、最初はこうヒーリングのためにやるというよりも、自分は本当に音楽を作る感覚で、やってる部分が大きかったってことなんですね。で、本当にここ最近は本当にあんまりギターとかクラリネットとか弾かないで、どっちかというとやっぱりクリスタルボールにすごくハマっていて、それでなんかこうやっと自分がこう一体化、なんかすごくいい感じになってきたというか、なんかそもそもね、やっぱりマッサージっていう、音楽にすごく音楽の勉強されていて、それでマッサージに行きましたけど、最終的にこうね、また音楽に戻ってきたっていうのがすごく不思議だな、なんていうふうにおっしゃってますけれどもね。で、実はですね、私もクリスタルボール1個持ってるんですよね。でもね、あんまり使い方がわからなくてですね、ちょっとどういうふうにクリスタルボールで弾くものなのか、ちょっとそういうテクニカルな部分もお聞きしたいんですけれども。So, I actually have one crystal ball. Yeah, I purchased with my credit card as well.
Yes.
Long time ago, maybe like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I don't know how to use it. And so I just wanted to ask you, like, how do you, like, how do you play crystal ball? Like, but sound bath is not equal to crystal ball, right? Like it can be anything.
Yes. Yeah. So sound bath can be with any number
any
of
instrument.
Yeah.
So there's no score, there's nothing like, so how do you do that? Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know.
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, my process is probably a little different from what a lot of people do with
so there's no rules.
Sound healing. There's there's no rules.
Okay.
I would say there are techniques that if you learn can help you create a more healing atmosphere in a sense with the crystal bowls. You know, if you're just playing one crystal bowl, that's one thing. You know, once you learn how to play it and sing it and strike it and get the sound that you want to get, then that's all you need, really. And that's the beautiful thing about crystal bowls is it's just use the sound to help you get into that meditative state. Oh my gosh, I feel like this is a complex subject. Podcast all in and of itself.
Yeah, but because like crystal ball has its own certain note, right? Like it's whether it's A or G or whatever. Like I don't know what mine is, but yeah, like so you use a bunch of different ones, and then so you're actually sort of making the melody, right? Like just randomly.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say like my approach is again, I kind of mentioned it earlier, is just to create beautiful music. So that's my first goal. And the sound healing side of it is just a beautiful side effect to that. And you know, I'm able to pull from my musical training in order to
Yes.
do that. So
Mhm.
I never know what I'm playing. There's never like a set composition. It's all
Oh,
improv and beat.
wow.
And it always depends on the day and who's in the room. And I just feel like I guess the best way to describe it is it feels like I'm not playing the bowls. It's like I just know where to go next. I'm almost guided towards playing it.
Mhm.
So that's sort of my process. But I think in general, like for people that are wanting to learn the crystal bowls, it does do good to learn a little bit about just the very basics of music theory.
Mhm.
Just because then you can kind of know, like, okay, what do dissonant sounds do? What kind of effect does that have on the body versus a more consonant sound, like a perfect fifth,
Right.
versus playing a minor second? They're going to have a different effect on your body. Neither one of them is bad or good on their own, but they'll have a different sort of healing effect on the body. Whereas a minor second might be good for more bringing up emotion and breaking up energy, I guess, if you could say that. It has that unsettling kind of sound to it a little bit, whereas a perfect fifth or an octave will be more stable and it'll feel more calm. So just knowing like the very basics of music theory for those who are wanting to get into sound healing can be very, very beneficial.
Okay. Well, thank you. ね、このサウンドバスっていうのはそもそも、別にクリスタルボールを弾くのがイコール、サウンドバスというわけではなくて、本当に音楽だったら何でもよくて、ギターでも何でもいいっていうことなんですけど、このクリスタルボールね、私もこう持ってて、なんかどうやって弾いていいのかよくわかんなかったので、家に結構あるだけだったりとかしたんですけど、ルールはないみたいなんですね、あんまり。で、テクニックはある程度ありますけれども、やってるうちに、だけどその本当に瞑想のためにね、こう使っているものではありますけれども、本当に一つ、このクリスタルボール家にあったら、それをずっと弾いてるだけ、もうそれだけで本当に十分だっていうふうにおっしゃっていました。で、ブライアンさんの場合は本当に綺麗なね、音楽を本当にこう奏でようと思って、このやっていることであって、彼の場合はやっぱりその音大に行ったりとかしていて、その音楽のトレーニングをしているのでね、もうある程度のこういう論理というか音楽のことが分かっているのでね、ちょっとアプローチがもしかしたら違うかもしれないですけれども、だから本当にこういう楽譜があるとかそういうわけじゃないんですよね。もう本当にもう自分の感覚に任せて弾いていて、で、彼の場合はそのお部屋にどんな人がいるかっていうのでも、こうちょっと雰囲気を変えてみたりだとかもしているし、こう自分は弾いているっていう感覚とちょっと違うそうなんです。なんかこう何かにガイドされて、次にどこに行けばいい、どれを弾こうかなみたいなのがなんとなくこう押されて弾いているみたいな、なんかそんな感覚になっているそうなので、例えば、でももしこれをやってみたいっていう人がいたとしたら、ある程度の音楽の理論みたいなのを分かっているといいんじゃないかっていうふうにおっしゃってます。やっぱり音が、特定の音がその心に与える影響っていうのいろいろあると思うんですよね。マイナーだとちょっとやっぱ悲しい気持ちが増長されたりだとか、メジャーだともっとハッピーになったりとか、いろいろあると思うし、そういうどういう体への感覚を呼び起こすことができるかっていうのを勉強するのもいいと思いますし、この音だともうちょっとエネルギーがねブレイクされるかなとか、これだともっとこの人の気持ちが安定するかなとか、そういうメロディーがこういう感覚を呼び起こす。そういうのを大体音楽を勉強されていると分かるかもしれないので、もし本気でね、これをやってみたいなんて思う人はそういうことも勉強しているといいかもしれませんということですけれどもね。なんかこのね、サウンドヒーリングをやってすごいトランスフォーメーションとかそういうのも見たことあるんでしょうかね。So, have you seen anyone like seeing like transformation like before and after like being exposed to sound healing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I might really quick piggyback on my last answer.
Sure,
There's
yes.
something to add
Yeah,
on
yeah. Yes, go ahead.
because I don't want to scare people away from doing it, because the beautiful thing about the bowls is they're just healing in and of themselves. So just playing and just experimenting on your own, no matter how much training you have, is a beautiful thing and
Yeah.
healing and simple. So I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, I have to.
Oh my God, now I have to study.
But,
yeah.
it can be helpful, but it's also just the
Not necessary. Yeah. ね、今ね、言ったことで、それでみんなが、じゃあクリスタルボールやるんだったら音楽の理論とか勉強しなくちゃいけないのって思って、なんかみんな怖がって、じゃあもういいとかになるとかわいそうなんでね、本当にもうヒーリングのためのもうシンギングボールなので、もうプレイしてトレーニングとか本当別に必要ないし、シンプルにね、こう、音を出して、気持ちいいって思ってもらえば全然いいことなので、そんなにみんな構えないでくださいってね、言ってましたけどね。いや、Thank you. Yeah. So like, have you seen the transformation?
Yeah, I mean, certainly in myself, my own personal journey, and I've spoke a little bit about that, but I've just, I feel better after every time that I play. It doesn't matter what kind of mood I'm in the start. I always feel much better and much more calm and grounded afterwards. But I've had so many different stories for people that, first and foremost, that's just helped stress and anxiety levels. That's kind of, I think, the number one sort of fundamental healing aspect of the bowls. And they have done not large scale studies, but studies where almost immediately from playing the bowl, it drops your brainwaves into alpha, which is like a relaxed state. And as you listen, it drops them down into theta, which is kind of like a dream or a deep meditative state. So it's very powerful for that. But I've had a lot of people tell me they use them a lot for sleep, to help themselves sleep at night. You were mentioning that earlier. Right. I have a YouTube channel as well, and the one that kind of surprised me a little bit, because I hadn't thought about that, is a lot of people use them to focus. So they actually put the crystal bowl music on when they're working, because it's a type of sound and music that they don't get distracted by the music, but it helps them focus on the task ahead. So it can be very good for that as well. And for meditation. And I've had people tell me that it help them process a lot of emotion that they've been going through, or challenging situations. So it's really just run the gamut.
It's definitely like a really nice compliment to like all the other healing work that they're doing.
Exactly.
ね、ということでね、このサウンドヒーリングをやることで、なんかいろんな人が変わっていたのとかもやっぱり今まで見てきたんですかっていうふうに聞いたんですけれども、すごいいろんなストーリーをね聞いたこともあるし、で、もちろん自分自身もサウンドヒーリングをやった後、すごくやっぱりこう落ち着いてて、なんかこう気持ちが良くなってね、それでグラウンディングできたなっていう感覚にいつも自分自身もなれるし、やっぱりストレスだとか不安な感情だとかっていうのがこう解消されたりだとか、すごくやっぱりヒーリングにいいんですよね。で、いろんな研究がされてるんですけど、この音を聞くことによってこう脳でアルファ波がね出て、すごくこう瞑想しているような感覚と似たようなセンセーションを感じることができたりってこともあるんですね。で、あと睡眠にもねすごく向いてるんですよね。寝るときにこれを聞くとこう寝やすいっていうのがあって、で、私も実はこのサウンドヒーリングをもう毎晩こう聞いて寝てるので、実はブライアンさんのインサイトタイマーっていうねアプリでいっぱい自分の曲を出していたので、実は私彼のことも知っていたというか、聞いて睡眠を手助けしてもらっていたんですけど、あと彼はYouTube チャンネルもねやってるんですね。で、そこでそのサウンドヒーリングを聞けたりとかするので、こちらの方もね紹介したいと思いますけれども、毎回そのヒーリングとか癒されるためだけじゃなくて、こうフォーカスするのにもこのサウンドヒーリングっていいそうです。なんか彼のその YouTube チャンネルをこう流したまんまで勉強したりとか仕事をするのにこうすごく集中もできるので、そういった使い方をしている人もいるということなんですね。で、あとやっぱり自分の感情とかをプロセスするためにすごくこれを聞きながらいろんなことを考えていると役に立ったなんていうこともいっぱいね今まで聞いたことがあるということですね。 はい。でも本当に音楽とかマッサージとかね、こういろんなね、形でこうすごい人をね、助ける仕事してきてる、こうブライアンさんなんですけども、それが、まあ、自分のミッションというかね、自分の生きる目的ってやっぱりこうヒーリング関係なんですかね。So lastly, like, you do music and massage and, this crystal, ball music and you help so many people through, your, the talent. And so how do you feel about your mission in this life? Is this really healing and helping people or?
I hope so. It's healing and helping me, definitely. So yeah, I think, gosh, my mission.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on the right path. Yes. I feel like I'm happy doing what I'm doing right now. I think probably the thing I still struggle with the most is it doesn't happen fast enough, which is why I love meditation, because then I can get in touch with like, okay, well, it's you're doing your best, it's going within your own time. But yeah, I have so many goals and so many things that I want to do with the music and healing and with the benefit sound bath series, for example. I'd like to get that really strong at the Still and Moving Center. But my dream is to be able to do like day-long festivals and more events, and maybe even start a collective or a movement of different healers and artists and things like that. That's why I kind of call it, if you'll notice at the beginning, I say what did I call it? The music, art, and activism movement.
Yeah.
Together in the arts and in the healing field to do events and dedicate part of their practice towards raising awareness and raising funds for the benefit of humanity and for the benefit of the world. So that would be, I think, my greater mission that I would like to accomplish as things progress forward. Create a big family.
Right. Yeah. But I understand, like, sometimes you feel like, oh, it's not happening fast enough. And like, but we gotta appreciate the process, right? Like,
exactly.
Okay. ねで、最後にね、やっぱりこうヒーリング関係のことが自分のね、生きがいというか、生きる目的だって感じてるんですかなんて聞いたんですけど、とにかく自分は今多分正しいね、道を歩いてるんじゃないかなっていうのは確実に感じていますということですごく今やってることすごくハッピーだし、だけどもたまにね、なんかこういろんなことがなかなか進まないのにまだなんで起こってないのみたいな、そういうちょっとフラストレーションを感じる時もあるということなんですね。この音楽をやったりヒーリングだとかってね、いろいろやってますけども、ゴールとしてもっといろんなことをやりたいことがあるそうなんです。で、例えばなんかこう一日中ねやる例えばそういうヒーリングとアートとかこうミュージックを合わせたフェスティバルだとか、あとなんかこういろんな人ヒーラーの人とか集めてそういうイベントをやるだとか、あとそういってこうね何かこう活動としてねこうヒューマニティ的な活動できるようなこう意識を変えられるようなことができる人のためになるねなんかこう活動ができたらいいななんて思って、アクティビズム的なことですけれども、それも最終的にはやっていきたいっていうもうちょっと大きなミッションだったりとかもするんですけども、そういうこともありながらでまだそこにまで大きいねこう目的はたどり着けてませんけども、でもね今は今自分がやってることで正しいんじゃないかなっていうふうに感じているということです。はいということでね、なんかサウンドヒーラーのブライアン・ジョーダンさん、本当にすごく面白いお話が聞けて、私もなんかすごいいろんななんか似たようなところがあってすごくびっくりしたんですけども、ね、イベント本当楽しみにしています。Well, thank you so much, Brian, for taking your time to talk to me, and I found so many similarities with you, and I feel a connection to you now, and I can't wait for your event, coming up on September 30th, and this is an ongoing series, right? So
yes, every last Friday of the month.
Last Friday of the month. はい。ね、
Yeah.
このサウンド、ヒーリングシリーズは、月の、一番最終金曜日にね、これからも、続いていくということなのでね、もうぜひぜひ皆さんにも参加していただきたいと思いますけど。Well, thank you so much, and I'll see you at the
Yeah.
event. And yeah, thank you.
Great.
It was really nice talking to you. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you so much for having me. It was such a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay. はい。ということで、今日はサウンドヒーラーのブライアン・ジョーダンさんが、ゲストでした。